There is this sort of source of conflict where personalities have changed, priorities have changed, and this happens a lot, especially as kids get older. Welcome back to the No Judgement podcast. I'm your host, Wil Halaz. Today, we're going to be talking about drifting apart. As you may have heard recently, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have announced their separation. Nicole formally filed for divorce recently, within the last week here, I believe. And, we've talked before about what are some of the reasons why people are getting a divorce. And often in consultations, I will ask a prospective client, is this a slow burn or is this a big explosion, right? Did we just kind of drift apart over time, or was there some incident or some event that brought us to the divorce? So today, this is more of a slow burn one. This is a circumstance. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, both very famous individuals, very successful individuals. Nicole Kidman, known mostly for her acting career. Keith Urban, obviously known mostly for his country music career. And they've been married for quite a while. They got married back in 2006, and they have two children together, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. So doing the quick math in my head, they had their children relatively early in the relationship. And apparently, when they had their first child, Nicole Kidman told some sources that she thought she was done with acting, basically. Maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, but not going to be as involved in her acting career. Keith Urban still was very active in his career, and that was kind of how they moved forward with their marriage. They had some more, we'll say traditionally defined roles in their marriage. Now, not exactly the same as, maybe you or I, or, we've got two very successful, very high earners here. But a lot of times this is what happens in marriages. We see there is somebody who is going to be more career focused and somebody who is going to be more focused on caring for the children. There's a lot of reasons for that. Like we said, some of that is kind of holdovers from the quote-unquote traditional marriage structure. Some of that is just financially related. Childcare is expensive, and one of the parents may not be earning enough to where it makes sense for them to continue earning that amount and paying for a child or children to go into childcare. Justin, how much do you think childcare on average is these days?
Well, let me just say that we don't have our kids didn't have our kids in daycare just because it was too much. I don't even remember what it is, but at the time it was too much, so now it's got to be ridiculous.
Right. So there are reasons why we have these sort of shifts, why we see these sort of shifts in relationships, in marriages, and, you kind of start out your relationship and you're feeling one another out, you get an idea, you're on the same page, you got the same perspective about what goals you want in life, and then kids come along. Or maybe kids don't come along, but your perspective shifts over time and your priorities shift over time. And that sounds like that's what's happened here. According to a source, Nicole wanted to get back into acting a little bit more, I won't say aggressively, but she wanted to get back into acting. She's taking on more projects. She just finished up filming on, what was it?
Practical Magic?
Yeah, Practical Magic. See, Justin knows. I like films, but Practical Magic, not.
My wife just made me watch that a couple weeks ago.
I'm not as familiar with that. But she just finished filming on Practical Magic. She's got apparently 4 other upcoming TV shows, in addition to a TV show, Big Little Lies. You may be familiar with that as well, season 3. So that was recently announced. Keith Urban, he's still on tour, still rocking it, still hitting the scene. But their relationship, their sort of roles that they saw themselves in have kind of moved. And sometimes couples are able to adjust to that. Sometimes that's not a problem. But sometimes it becomes a a source of conflict. And so here that seems to be what happened. Nicole was traditionally, and it seems by all accounts, always very supportive of Keith's career. And according to this source, at least, Keith has not been as supportive of Nicole returning back full force into her career. Justin, quick question. Favorite Nicole Kidman movie?
Hold on. We'll edit this in. Nicole, Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder. Very nice. I gotta say, you might make fun of me for this a little bit. Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge. I'm a big Moulin Rouge guy. I like it. Love it. Want some more of it. So back to our topic. What happens here in these sort of circumstances, like I said, the parties just kind of drift apart from one another. There is this sort of source of conflict where personalities have changed, priorities have changed. And this happens a lot, especially as kids get older, right? Somebody is generally providing care for the children, but they're getting older, spending less time at home. You have to provide less direct care for them because they're able to care for themselves as much as a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old can care for themselves. But a lot of times that stay-at-home spouse, whether it's the husband or the wife, they want to get back into the workforce. They want to get back into their career, whatever it might be. And sometimes that comes to be a source of conflict. So here, I'm sure we will hear much more about this as it goes forward. So far, it doesn't seem like it is a very acrimonious divorce. Seems like, there's obviously this report isn't exactly the best thing you would want to hear at the beginning of the divorce case, but it doesn't sound like there's anything that's too salacious that's coming out of this. So we'll keep track of this one, see if things turn sideways. But hopefully for them and for their children, it is an amicable divorce, a way that they can just sort of separate and continue to move forward like some of the other celebrity divorces that we've seen. And hopefully it doesn't turn south like some of the celebrity divorces that we've seen and talked about here.
All things considered, out of most celebrity marriages, this one lasted pretty darn long.
Yeah, I mean, they were coming up on 20 years. So that's a pretty lengthy marriage in terms of what we see in divorce cases. So, like I said, we'll keep track of this one. But if you find that there's a source of conflict, there's a change in perspectives in your relationship, in your marriage, like we've talked about before, we're never really encouraging somebody to go and get a divorce. But if you see that this pattern is starting to play out in your relationship, might be a time to reach out, talk to a lawyer. You can call us here at Cordell and Cordell. We've got people available to talk to you about your situation and what your options might be going forward. So hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know if there's any other topics that you want to hear about, whether it be celebrity divorces, issues within divorce, or anything family law related. So until next time, no judgment here.